There has never been a more important time to be vegan. At Vedge Your Best, we're here to help you limit and eliminate the consumption of animal products without feeling deprived, overwhelmed, or unsupported, even if no one you know is vegan. My name's Michele Olander. I'm a life coach, and I want to show you that living vegan is actually the superpower that will unlock your possibilities and give you the confidence to take on your next impossible goal by doing it your way. If I could go vegan in my 50s with all my excuses, I know you can start moving in that direction too. Veg your best, and there's nothing you can't do. Episode 96, Believe You Me. Welcome back, Veg Your Besties. Welcome back. It's halftime. You know, I did an episode called Halftime 1 year ago, and here we are again. We're halfway through 2022. It's the third quarter that we're starting of the year. And if you go back and listen to episode 44 of Veg Your Best, I said there in that episode that halftime is, well, it's that little break, that little bit of fun and change of pace, a little breather, and a reminder that anything can still happen. Do you believe that? Do you? Do you believe that, my Veg Your Bestie? If you're looking at the results you've been creating this year, and if you've been right on plan, full throttle, I think this is time for a little victory lap, a little halftime show, a little yay me, a little, I'd like to thank the Academy, or as Snoop, who appeared at the last Super Bowl halftime show, said, I want to thank me. Are you familiar with that? Well, you're not going to hear me reading all the lyrics, but it starts, last but not least, I want to thank me. I want to thank me for believing in me. I want to thank me for doing all this hard work. I want to thank me for having no days off. I want to thank me for never quitting. I want to thank me for always being a giver and trying to give more than I receive and trying to do more right than wrong. I want to thank me for just being me at all times. I might stop there. And it's certainly possible that you didn't see that coming. Me quoting Snoop on today's podcast. But I think it's a good moment for you, for me, to look at the first half of the year and take a little credit for what's worked, for what's been created, for what's been improved. Take a little credit for the people that have been cared for and loved and supported, and the new things that have been tried, and the efforts that have been made. Sometimes, and by sometimes I mean always, sometimes we are just so much more keyed in to what hasn't worked out, right? That's the negativity bias I've talked about so often here. And there's a gap between where we are and where we want to go, maybe, but I'd like us all to first take at least a minute or two and thank ourselves. I know we think that if we're too happy with ourselves for incomplete results, that we're not going to go any further. We think we need to cast some sort of jaundiced eye on our results in order to motivate ourselves to keep going or to get going. But I just don't think that's true. Maybe you've swapped out some animal products. Maybe you've started crowding out your food with some more whole foods. Maybe you've started asking for vegan options at restaurants or when you're traveling. Or maybe you've been telling your family or your colleagues that you're not going to be eating meat. Or maybe you've started replacing some of your cosmetics or your clothing with vegan and cruelty-free choices. Or maybe you've just started reading the ingredients. You could admire yourself and applaud yourself for making inroads, for learning some new strategies, for educating yourself in all those ways. You could. Or you could berate yourself. You could berate yourself for not being further along, and you could judge yourself, and you could call yourself names. And if you've been listening to Veg Your Best for a while, and you've been playing along at home, I think you know what I teach on this issue. It's my experience, and now it's my belief, that compassionate goals like, for example, building a vegan practice, build more securely on a compassionate foundation and with a compassionate infrastructure. Is there some urgency to moving in a vegan or plant-based direction? I mean, yeah, I think there is. I believe there is. But that urgency is not served, in my opinion, by people feeling themselves to be failures, by people giving up the goal altogether, and actually making it seem that much more impossible to the other people around them. That urgency is not met if you end up throwing your hands in the air and quitting and telling everyone it can't be done. You couldn't do it. It was too hard. Listen, I don't think I've said it in at least a couple weeks. I never thought that I could be vegan. I never, ever thought I could be vegan. That's why I'm here. That's why I do this. To drip, drip, drip the belief that if I could do it, honestly, so can you. Really, it's July, okay, and half the year's over, and I'm asking you to check in with the goals you've been aiming at. And whether it's giving up meat, eggs, fish, and dairy, whether it's building a cruelty-free wardrobe, whether it's building a business or starting a vegan initiative or improving your closest relationships, getting fit, whatever it is, I want you to start by giving yourself credit for everything you've done without diluting that credit with what remains to be done. That's going to be true forever, right? There's always going to be more that you could do. It's going to be true forever. When you get to any next level, whatever that is, you're going to want to do something else. Not because there's anything wrong with you, but because your belief of who you are and what you can do and how you can serve, your belief in all those areas will have grown. You will know other things then. You will be aware of other things then. And if the only way to evolve were to punish and white knuckle and berate ourselves to the next goal, well, a lot of us do think that. And that's why a lot of us are checked out and soothing ourselves with hyperpalatable foods and weed and Chardonnay and streaming videos. Because bullying ourselves to our goals is miserable. It's miserable. I'm not saying it never works. It can work, but it's miserable, and it's a recipe for backsliding. And for some reason, hardly anyone wants to come along and join us when we're wearing our shame shawl and indulging in restriction and experiencing judgment and irritable moods. If you're going to grow, if you're going to do something new, something revolutionary, I think you should thank yourself. Thank yourself for wanting to create a new result, a new way of living, a new way of being. It's awesome. Last week, I reminded you of one of the most powerful concepts that I live by and that I coach with. It's a thought: when you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them. And when you argue for your possibilities, you get to create them. And I told you then that my point of view was that we all have limitations. And it's pretty hard. When I say pretty hard, I mean it's impossible to create new results when we are focusing on the limitations. We want to train our brains to focus on whatever possibilities are there. And that takes practice, because sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it's not those limitations we've been so trained to think of as insurmountable. So it's a practice. And it's why working with a coach can honestly very often speed things up, because your coach has not been focusing on your limitations. And your coach has the ability to believe completely in you finding your possibilities. And it's why working with a coach can very often speed things up so much, because your coach has not been focusing on your limitations, and your coach believes completely in you finding your new possibilities. There are these certain thoughts like this in coaching, which are, they're admittedly just thoughts, but they're thoughts that serve to open us up a little, open our brains up a little, to get curious, to investigate if maybe there's something else there that we haven't seen or that we've discounted. And it works for developing your vegan practice or your whole food plant-based diet or any other big evolution in your life. And I'm going to share another thought right now that I usually only share with my advanced clients. Because if you're looking for reasons why coaching won't work and you can't change and the whole thing is going to be impossible for you, well, in that case, you're likely to try and pull these ideas apart and close down. But since you're here, and it's almost episode 100, almost 2 years of Vedge Your Best, well, I'm going to share this one. It's one of my very favorite thoughts. I use it all the time in my life, and it was offered to me by my coach, the celestial Bev Aaron. Bev has brought me to tears more than once by just saying, "Michele, really?" Honestly, I could hear her voice saying it right now. Anyway, this thought is written on a sticky note, and I always have it on my laptop. And it is perhaps the most magical thought she's ever offered me. We are always creating what we believe the most. We are always creating what we believe the most. If you're new to plant-based eating, for example, or a vegan lifestyle, remember that you're living the life that you already believe in, the life you already know how to live, because you've practiced certain beliefs about what's easy and what's hard, what food is, what's healthy, what's fun, what's bonding, what's normal, what's comforting, what's realistic, where protein and iron come from, what's reasonable or sophisticated or educated. We are always creating what we believe the most. Living a vegan practice, traveling as a vegan, creating a business or an art practice, whether you're strengthening the muscles in your body or investing in your relationships, whatever you want to do, it will require you to grow new beliefs about what's possible, new beliefs about who you are and what you can do. And guess what? When your beliefs change, you organically begin to create new results. We are always creating what we believe the most. Your results today, here in July, halfway through 2022, they are a very good indication of what you believe right now. If you've created some results that you wanted, if you're moving in that direction, it's an illustration that your beliefs have changed, that they've evolved. Your belief about what's possible has changed. And that's why it's so important to surround yourself as much as possible with people who are doing whatever it is that you want to do, to curate your feed, to fill your brain with new beliefs, and to avoid and limit and protect yourself from beliefs that work against what you want. One of the wonders of the internet is you can find ideas and people and inspiration and podcasts like this one to help fill your brain with those new beliefs of possibility. And these are not fairy stories. It's easy to just dismiss it. It's easy to dismiss this as toxic positivity, and it's anything but. Anything but. And if you're interested in spending a little time, just 8 weeks, getting some traction on your goals by growing your belief in what's possible, this is the time to book yourself into my calendar. You can do that. You can message me. You can email me. We can put together a plan for this summer. And we'll look and see what it is you already fully believe in your life and where you need to grow that belief. I'm telling you, it is so much easier than grinding away with chores and food plans and tasks and exercises. When you work on your belief in yourself, when you believe first, you realize that you actually know what to do, and you can drop most of the work. I promise you. That's why I have peace and ease around my vegan practice now, because I no longer believe that living a vegan life is harder. I actually believe it's easier, healthier, happier, and it makes a difference. That practice has helped me be more courageous, more committed, more confident in a variety of other areas of my life too. Now, apparently, I'm still missing some belief that I can finish my book, get it published, and out into your hands. But as soon as I believe it, you're going to know all about it. You'll know all about it when it happens, don't you worry. So, it's not one and done. It is an evolution of beliefs. I still have plenty of work to do, but where I have accomplished things, it has been because of that change in belief. And personally, I think veganism is the superpower that will change all your beliefs about what's possible in this life on this planet. But you can use this work any way you want, any way you want. And when you're ready, I would love to help you try it on. So, last but not least, to paraphrase Snoop one more time, as we go into quarter 3, the second half of this year in your miraculous life, I want you to thank you. I want you to thank you for believing in you. I want you to thank you for doing all this hard work. I want you to thank you for having no days off. I want you to thank you for never quitting, for always being a giver, trying to give more than you receive, and trying to do more right than wrong. I want you to thank you for just being you at all times. Okay, my Vedge bestie, thank you. Thank yourself for showing up here and trying on these thoughts and borrowing my belief in you for just these few minutes every week. You are always creating what you believe the most. I'll talk to you next week. Vedge Your Best podcast production, music, and editing by Charlie Weinshank. Thanks, Charlie. Before you go, it would mean so much to me and the Vedge Your Best team if you would hit subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, or share with someone you think might be interested. Something about algorithms, it helps bump us up a little in the rankings, and that's the best way to help others find the podcast and for us to find our audience. So, until next week, make it easy and veg your best.